Well, the NHL draft lottery night, and here in Calgary, we were waiting just to see where the balls would end up, and now the order from 1 through 16 is determined. And there was for a second, I know we were out early on the first draw, but the second draw, some excitement there. Went up to 9% chances to get the second pick.
That was exciting. I mean, we're sitting here watching, hoping for that number 9 ball to pop up, and obviously it didn't.
Yeah.
So, but there was a chance.
There was a chance. It moved just for a moment. Either way, we know that it'll end up as 16. At least that pick will go to Montreal. So we know New Jersey is the pick that the one that you got from New Jersey at 18th overall be your first one, and then 2 picks in the first round. Maybe just a thought as you stand here today about, again, having a couple of picks in the first round, and just, what your mindset is as you look toward the draft and maybe some pieces that you have.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you look right now, you have 18 for sure, and maybe 22, and who knows what. But, like I told the scouts, we got to dig in. It's one of those years where there's lots of good players. We just got to find the right ones at the right time in the draft. And it's never easy, but that's part of the job.
Well, and 10 picks last year, and, we've talked a lot here late in the season about a couple of those guys, and obviously Zane Parekh right at the top of that list. But just when you look at, what you've been able to do with the draft picks and maybe some of the excitement with some of that youth, and that's really what it's about, is trying to find guys that you can kind of get excited about, isn't it?
Yeah, there's always guys. I mean, I think, just thinking of the draft last year, like Basha dropped a little bit. We were able to get him, and Henry Muse too, guys that maybe people thought were going to go a little bit earlier. We were able to get a little bit later. So to have those picks, you just never know what people are thinking and which direction they're going to go. So we just got to be ready, and I'm looking forward to it.
What are your scouts saying about this draft in total? And, obviously we're not going to talk about names specifically, but when you look at maybe the depth and what guys could be looking at as you kind of get through that first round.
Well, I think, we kind of said even, early on, this is a draft where, I think in years past, you might be able to say the first 20 guys, you kind of knew maybe one go up or down, but this draft, it could go all over. There's some really good players. You might be able to get some later. So, we just got to be ready to see which way teams go. It's never, it's just not a science. You just got to battle and try to find the best players.
Well, 7th round pick, and sometimes those are the guys that work out, and that's kind of one guy that we saw just before the draft lottery started. Dustin Wolf, one of the nominees for the Calder Trophy, unbelievably deserving given the season he had. As you stand here today and look at the campaign that he had in his first year in the NHL, what stands out?
First, I'm just so proud of him. I mean, he comes in, the work ethic, since he's turned pro, even before that. I mean, he's had a little chip on his shoulder right from the time we drafted him. He said he's going to make this a good pick for us. And, here he is, up for the Calder. So well-deserved, and just exciting to see how the season kind of progressed and how he just, under all the pressure, we didn't score a lot of goals, and every night he gave us a chance. And we just feel like the future is really bright with Dustin in the organization.
Well, and obviously there's, 3, really good players that had a good first season in the NHL, but you look at 3 different positions. So you got a forward, you got a defenseman, you got a goaltender, and, I know a lot of people love to, talk about the goalie and how important that role is, and maybe just, is there some significance there just given the importance of that role, and, how there is, a little extra pressure when you're, a rookie netminder in the NHL?
Well, there is. I mean, and again, he didn't have a lot of run supports on most nights, so he knew his margin of error was very tight, but he loved the pressure. He loved to play the games. I mean, he wanted to play every game. He wanted to be in there in the key moments down the stretch, trying to make the playoffs, and, everybody saw how well he played. So, we're hoping it's just a sign of things to come, and he's going to take it to another level next year.
And before we let you go, another opportunity to talk about Matt Coronato, because that's a great deal, obviously, for him and for the franchise. How do you look at, being able to get a young guy that's obviously showed some extremely valuable offensive abilities here this past season, and just what the future may hold for him?
Yeah, Matt's going to be a big part of this. I mean, obviously, there's a reason we felt like a long-term deal. Both sides felt very comfortable because we know he can score goals. He can score goals, but he's doing everything else now. He's a 200-foot player. He's out there at the end of the games with the goalies pulled, protecting leads. You just feel like his game's really coming. And again, like Dustin, I think his game's just going to go to another level next year.
And the work, everyone kind of talks about the work. I mean, is that, what's allowed him to come into the NHL and maybe just be ready to seize that opportunity when he finally got that kind of long look?
I think the one thing is his work ethic is great. Practice, in the gym, doing all the extras, working on his skating. I mean, there were things we wanted him to get better at, and he just puts his head down and does the work, So we just know he's going to continue to do that, and that's what makes you feel comfortable with a 7-year deal, that he's going to do that, and hopefully, you've seen him in, USHL and then college, and now in the NHL. He seems just get more and more comfortable and take it to another level.
Last one for you, and that's as we kind of move over the following weeks, just what's on the agenda as you now start to look toward that draft.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, we're getting ready on the draft. We got our pro scouts coming in to, we're looking forward to free agency and all that coming. And then really the draft is a big thing. We'll be going to the combine and starting to meet some of these kids, which will be nice.
Yeah. All right. We appreciate the time and onward and upward.
Thanks, Parks.